It was supposed to be a normal night. The city of Neo Haven shone like a crown of glass and metal, lights reflecting from the tall towers that touched the clouds. Down below, people moved like tiny dots, tired workers. Delivery drones and street sellers shouting under neon signs. But high above, in Hall Industries Tower, something strange began to happen. The top floors flickered. A deep sound echoed through the steel like a growl from inside the building itself. Then came the fire. But it wasn't red. It was blue. People stopped on the streets below, staring as a bright blue flame exploded from the 90th floor. It climbed the glass walls like living water, spreading faster than normal fire should. The alarms screamed through the city, and panic filled the night. Inside the building, Ethan Cole, a maintenance engineer, was finishing his shift. A single father, tired and quiet. He only wanted to go home to his daughter Leah. She was waiting for him, probably falling asleep in front of their tiny home screen again. But when the first explosion hit, everything changed. The ground shook under his boots. Lights went out. A heavy smell of burning chemicals filled the air. Then came the screams far above him. Fire in Sector 9. We're trapped. A voice shouted through the comm. Ethan didn't think twice. He grabbed his emergency gear and ran to the elevator, but the system was locked. Power failure. Smoke was already rising through the vents. He knew the rules. Never take the stairs past the 80th floor in a chemical fire. But there were people up there. He took the stairs anyway. Step after step, he climbed into the dark. The metal walls glowed faint blue from the light below. He could feel the heat, but it didn't feel natural. It burned cold. Like ice touching skin. At the 90th floor, the door was jammed. He forced it open and froze. The hallway was gone. Just black smoke, sparks, and silence. Through the fire haze, he saw a small figure banging on a glass door. A young woman, coughing, trapped behind a wall of flame. Help. Please, she screamed. Ethan pulled his mask tight and ran forward. He kicked down the door, wrapped his jacket around her, and dragged her out. She gasped, her face covered in ash, her eyes wide and bright. She wasn't a worker. She was wearing a silver access badge, the kind only high executives used. The name read, Ava Hale. Ethan knew that name. The CEO's daughter. They ran down the corridor, the floor shaking under their feet. A wall burst open, blue fire pouring out like a river. Ethan pushed Ava ahead, covering her from the heat. His skin burned, but he didn't stop. Keep going. Don't look back, he shouted. They reached the emergency shaft, blocked by debris. No way out. Ava looked up, tears mixing with smoke. We're trapped. Ethan looked around. One broken window, 90 floors high. No good options. He checked his emergency line. It was dead. No rescue teams, no communication. Just silence. For a moment, he thought of Leah, waiting at home, maybe wondering why her father was late again. He couldn't die here. Not tonight. He tied a safety cable to a support beam and looked at Ava. You trust me? She nodded, shaking. Then hold on tight. He smashed the window. Wind roared in, carrying sparks and glass. The city lights glittered far below, like stars waiting to swallow them. Ethan wrapped the cable around both of them and jumped. The wind screamed past. Ava held on to him, crying. The cable snapped halfway down and they crashed into a lower balcony. Pain shot through Ethan's body. He rolled, coughing, holding Ava close. She was alive, barely. Fire alarms echoed in the distance. Sirens from rescue drones grew louder. Ethan tried to move, but his arm was broken. He still pushed Ava to safety as the rescue bots surrounded them. The medics pulled them away from the flames. As they were lifted to safety, Ethan turned to look at the burning tower. The fire wasn't spreading, It was gathering, moving like a living thing, swirling into one bright blue circle at the top. And for a second, it looked back at him, something inside the fire was alive. Darts later, Ethan sat on a stretcher outside the tower. He was covered in ash, half conscious. The news drones circled above, broadcasting his face to the entire city. Reporters were shouting his name, the hero who saved the CEO's daughter. But Ethan didn't feel like a hero. He felt something else, fear, because deep down he knew that fire wasn't natural. And somewhere in that burning tower, something had started, something that would never stop. Asterisk, the world called him a hero. But Ethan Cole never felt like one. It had been 3 days since the Hale Tower fire. The blue flames had finally died, leaving only black steel and silence behind. The city's giant screens showed his face again and again. Engineer saved CEO's daughter from death. People cheered. Some even cried. But inside Ethan's small apartment on the city's lower level, there was no cheering, only a soft hum from an old air fan and the quiet breathing of his daughter. Laia, asleep on the couch. Ethan sat beside her, watching her tiny hand holding his burnt glove. He smiled weakly. The doctors said he was lucky to be alive. They didn't know that luck had nothing to do with it. Something about that fire still haunted him. He remembered how the blue flames moved, like they had a mind of their own. And the moment before he jumped, when it looked back at him the next morning. Someone knocked on his door. When he opened it, 2 men in black suits stood there. No badges, no smiles. Mr. Cole. Yes. Mr. Victor Hale requests your presence. Immediately, Ethan frowned. The CEO. One of them nodded. He wants to thank you personally and discuss an opportunity. Ethan didn't like surprises, but curiosity won. He left Lie with his neighbor and followed the men into a sleek HOVERCAR as they rose through the city layers. The buildings changed from rusted metal to shining glass, from street dust to white light. Soon, they reached the top of Hale Industries Tower, now sealed and half rebuilt after the fire. Victor Hale stood near a wide window, looking down at the city. His suit was perfect, his hair silver and sharp. He didn't look like a man who had almost lost his daughter, more like someone who had lost something far more important. Mr. Cole Hale said, turning slowly, "You saved my child. I owe you everything." Ethan nodded politely. Just did what anyone would do. Hale smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. That's not true. Most people would have run. You went in? He motioned for Ethan to sit. The room was filled with quiet machines, small drones floating like silver bees, walls glowing with data streams. I'd like to offer you a position, Hale said. In my internal security division, a tie. Full protection for you and your daughter. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Protection. From what? Hale paused, choosing his words carefully. From people who don't like what happened that night. Ethan's instincts flared. What did happen that night? He asked. That fire wasn't normal. Hale's face hardened. You saw things you shouldn't have. I won't deny that. The fire wasn't ordinary. It was part of a private experiment. A failure? Ethan leaned forward. A failure that killed dozens. Yes, Hale said quietly. But your act of courage gave us hope. You saved Ava, and in doing so, you may have saved much more. There was a long silence. Outside, the city lights flickered through the smog. Ethan stood up. Thank you for the offer, he said, but I'm not interested. I just want to keep my daughter safe. Hale's tone turned colder. Think carefully, Mr. Cole. This isn't a request. Ethan looked at him one last time. I've already been through fire, Mr. Hale. I'll take my chances. He turned and walked out. The two guards didn't stop him, but their eyes followed him all the way to the elevator. That night, back in his apartment, Ethan tried to sleep. But his mind kept replaying Hale's words. Protection? From who? From what? He checked on Leah. She was asleep again, her favorite toy, a broken robot, beside her. For a moment, he smiled. Then he heard a sound. A soft click outside the window. Ethan froze. He moved quietly, picking up a wrench from the table. When he pulled the curtain aside, he saw a small drone hovering there, black, unmarked with a blinking red eye. It scanned the room. Ethan threw the wrench. The drone exploded, glass flying everywhere. Within seconds, his communicator buzzed. A distorted voice spoke through static. "You should have taken the offer, Mr. Cole." The call ended. He grabbed Leah and packed a small bag. They ran down the stairs, disappearing into the crowded night streets. The air smelled of oil and rain. Ethan's mind raced. Someone was watching them, someone powerful. As he turned into a dark alley, a figure stepped from the shadows. It was Ava Hale. Her face was pale, her eyes glowing faintly blue. "Ethan," she whispered, "they lied to you. The fire wasn't an accident." He stared, stunned. "What are you talking about?" She took his hand, trembling. "They're going to start it again." Before he could ask anything more, lights flashed across the alley. Black drones surrounded them. "Run!" She shouted. Ethan grabbed Leah and ran through the maze of alleys, Ava right behind him. The city screamed with alarms again. Blue light reflecting off wet walls. For the second time in his life, Ethan ran from the fire. But this time, he wasn't running to save someone. He was running because something had followed him out of the flames. Rain poured over Neo Haven that night, washing blue light across the dark city. Ethan Cole ran through narrow streets, holding his daughter Leah in one arm and guiding Ava Hale with the other. The hum of drones echoed behind them, cold, mechanical, merciless. They ducked under an old railway bridge. Water dripped from the metal beams above. The sound of engines faded into the distance. Ethan finally stopped, breathing hard. "You need to start talking, Ava," he said, his voice sharp. "What's going on? Why are they after us?" Ava shivered under the rain, her silver jacket torn, her eyes glowing faintly, not from light, but from something inside her. "They're after me," she said softly. "And now, they'll come for you too." Ethan looked at her, confused. "I saved you from that fire." "I thought you were a victim." "I was," Ava said. "But I'm also part of the reason it started." Her words hit him like a punch. He stared at her, unable to speak. Ava looked away, ashamed. The fire wasn't an accident. It came from Project Phoenix, a secret experiment my father built. He said it would help humanity survive anything. But it wasn't fire. It was alive. Ethan's heart pounded. "Alive? What do you mean?" Ava touched her chest lightly. He called it nanoflam, a living swarm of microscopic machines that could rebuild human tissue even after death. But something went wrong. It began spreading like a virus, feeding on heat, metal, and people. Ethan froze. The blue fire, the way it moved, it all made sense now. "And you?" he asked. Ava looked at him with tears in her eyes. "I was the first test subject. The nanoflam is inside me." Ethan took a step back, instinct screaming. "You're saying that?" "That thing inside the fire. It's part of you." "Yes," Ava said quietly. "When you pulled me out, the fire followed. It bonded to you too, Ethan. That's why Hay wants you." Ethan clenched his fists. So all this time, he wasn't trying to thank me. He wanted to finish his experiment. Ava nodded. "He'll stop at nothing. He thinks the nanoflam can make humans immortal. But it's not saving lives. It's consuming them." Lightning flashed across the sky. Laya stirred in Ethan's arms, whispering sleepily, "Daddy? Fire again." Ethan hugged her tight. "No, baby, not this time." But deep inside, he wasn't sure. His hand was still burned from the night of the fire, and sometimes, when he touched metal, it sparked faintly blue. The rain slowed. Ava pointed toward a broken sign across the street. "Sublevel access restricted." "We can hide there," she said. They climbed down through the rusted stairs into the old city tunnels. It was dark and cold, but safer now. The smell of oil filled the air. Ava sat against the wall, exhausted. Ethan stood nearby, keeping watch. He looked at her again. "Why didn't you tell the truth earlier?" "I tried," she said. "My father controls the media, the police, everything. Anyone who talks disappears. The scientists who built Project Phoenix, they're all dead now." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small data chip. "This has everything. The real research files, test records, proof of what he's done. If we can get this to the public, maybe we can stop him." Ethan stared at the chip glowing in her hand. It felt like holding the future, or a bomb. Suddenly, the tunnel lights flickered. A low hum filled the air. Ethan turned. "We've been tracked." Drones swarmed through the tunnel entrance, red lights cutting through the dark. Ethan grabbed Ava's hand and pulled Leah behind him. "Run!" They sprinted through the narrow passage. Metal walls reflected flashes of blue light as the drones fired plasma shots. Ethan ducked, shielding Leah, as sparks rained down. One drone got close, too close. Ethan swung a metal pipe and smashed it. The impact sent a burst of blue fire through his arm. The drone melted instantly. Ava gasped. "Ethan, your arm." He looked down. His skin was glowing faintly, just like hers. The nanoflam had spread, but instead of pain, he felt power. The heat didn't burn him, it moved with him. He turned back toward the drones. "Get them out of here," he told Ava. "I'll hold them off." Ava hesitated. "You'll die." "Maybe," he said, smiling faintly. "But not before they do." He ran toward the swarm, swinging the metal pipe like lightning. Every hit released waves of blue fire, burning machines into dust. His body glowed brighter with each strike, the flames obeying his will. The last drone exploded behind him. The tunnel filled with blue smoke. When Ava and Leah returned, Ethan was on his knees, breathing hard, his eyes glowing. "What's happening to me?" He whispered. Ava looked terrified. "The nanoflam is merging with you. You're changing." Ethan stood up slowly. "Then maybe it's time I use it against them." He looked at the chip in Ava's hand. "We expose the truth. We end this project. For good." Ava nodded, her voice trembling. "Then we'll have to go back. To the source. Halley Tower." Ethan turned toward the tunnel exit, firelight flickering in his eyes. "Then that's where we'll go." Outside, thunder rolled again, blue lightning painting the sky. The storm had returned, and this time the fire was ready to fight back. The storm hit the city hard. Rain crashed against the glass towers of Neo Haven, thunder echoing through the steel sky. But the storm wasn't what people feared. It was the fire that had come back. And this time, it had a face. Ethan Cole drove through the night in a stolen hovercar, his hands tight on the controls. Ava Hale sat beside him, clutching the data chip like it was her heart. Leah, his little girl, slept in the back seat. Unaware of the chaos around them, the city ahead glowed red and blue. Police drones scanning the skies. Air sirens warning everyone to stay inside. "They've locked the main exits," Ava said, checking the screen on her wrist. "We can't go through the main gates. We'll have to take the lower levels." Ethan nodded. "Then that's where we go." The hovercar dropped lower, slipping between skyscrapers and bridges. Below them, the streets were full of light protests, security teams. and Hale Industries' private guards. Ethan's face was calm, but his heart was racing. Every few minutes, his arm flickered blue beneath his sleeve. The nanoflam inside him was growing stronger and harder to control. Suddenly, a red signal flashed on Ava's wrist screen. "They've found us." 3 black drones appeared behind them, cutting through the storm like hunters. Ethan swore under his breath. "Hold on." He swerved between 2 bridges. Plasma beams tore through the air, hitting the car's rear wing. Sparks exploded. The hovercar spun sideways, alarms screaming. "Ethan!" Ava shouted. He pulled hard on the manual control, leveling the car inches above a train track. They sped forward, the drones still chasing. Firing non-stop. Ethan glanced at Leia through the mirror. Still asleep, small hands clutching her toy robot. His jaw tightened. He couldn't let her wake up to this nightmare again. He hit the power switch. "Ava, take the wheel." "What?" "Why? Just do it." She grabbed the controls as Ethan opened the hatch on top. Rain poured in, drenching him. He climbed halfway out, his eyes burning blue in the dark. 1 drone flew close, too close. Ethan raised his hand. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a wave of blue fire burst from his palm, slicing through the air. The drone exploded in a flash of blue light. Ava gasped. "Ethan, you controlled it." He dropped back into the seat, breathing hard. "I didn't." It listened. The other drones circled back, firing again. Ava pushed the hovercar into a narrow alley. They barely made it through as the drones crashed into the walls behind them. Silence returned, broken only by rain and Ethan's heavy breathing. They stopped under an abandoned bridge near the city's old industrial zone. Steam rose from the pipes, and the streets below were empty. Ava turned to him. "You saved us again." Ethan shook his head. "No, that thing inside me did." She looked at his arm. Faint blue lines glowed beneath the skin like lightning veins. "It's changing you. If you keep using it, it'll consume you." He looked at her quietly. "If that's what it takes to protect Leah, then I'll burn." Ava's eyes softened. "You sound just like my mother." Ethan frowned. "Your mother." "She tried to stop my father's experiments years ago," Ava said. "She said the nanoflam wasn't a gift, it was a curse. When she refused to help him, he erased her records. No one even remembers her name now." Ethan looked out into the rain. "Then we'll make them remember." Ava opened the data chip and projected a hologram. A list of names appeared: scientists, test subjects, secret files. One name made Ethan freeze: Dr. Ilara Cole. Ava looked at him in shock. "Cole, that's your last name." Ethan's heart stopped. "My wife's name was Ilara. She died in a lab fire years ago." Ava stared at him. "That wasn't an accident. She worked on Project Phoenix before she vanished. Your wife helped build the nanoflam." Ethan sat in silence, unable to speak. The memories hit like shards: her sudden disappearance, the fire, the lies. "She wanted to destroy it," Ava said softly. Maybe that's why she left something behind you." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then I'll finish what she started." Suddenly, the ground shook. A spotlight cut through the darkness. A massive airship hovered above, engines roaring. The symbol of Hale Industries glowed on its side. Loudspeakers blared through the rain. "Ethan Cole, surrender immediately. You are infected property of Hale Industries." Ava's face went pale. "They're calling you property." Ethan's eyes glowed brighter. "Then let's remind them what humans really are." He turned to Ava. "Take Leah and run when I give the signal." "No, you can't go." He stepped out into the storm, facing the airship. Blue flames danced across his hands, rising higher with every heartbeat. The ship fired its cannons. Ethan raised both arms, and the flames shot upward like a tidal wave. Now, the blast hit the ship dead center, tearing through its armor. It exploded in a storm of blue fire and lightning. The shock waves shook the ground, blowing rain in every direction. Ava shielded Laia as the light filled the sky. When the smoke cleared, Ethan was gone, only a faint trail of blue fire burning in the rain. Ava whispered, her voice trembling, "He's still alive. I can feel it." She looked down at Laia, who opened her eyes for the first time since the chase. "Where's Daddy?" the little girl asked. Ava looked toward the glowing clouds above. "He's fighting for us, sweetheart." And far above, in the storm, a single blue flame flickered, moving against the wind. The chase wasn't over. It had only just begun. The city of Neo Haven was quiet again. The storm had passed, but the sky still glowed faintly blue, like the world itself remembered what had happened. Down in the ruins of an abandoned subway, Ava Hale and little Laia huddled beside a small heater. The wind howled through broken tunnels. Somewhere far above, people whispered about the Blue Flame Man, the one who destroyed a corporate warship with his bare hands. They didn't know his name, but Ava did. Ethan Cole. She watched Laia sleep, her small fingers holding the edge of Ethan's old jacket. The child didn't know if her father was dead or alive. Ava wished she could promise her safety, but she wasn't sure anymore. She turned on her wrist device. A faint signal blinked. One she had been waiting for. Signal detected. Source, Sector 12 Hale Tower. Her eyes widened. Ethan was alive. Hours later, Ava made her way through the shadows of the lower city. Neon lights flickered, drones buzzed overhead, and corporate posters promised a brighter human future. But the future had already burned blue. At the heart of it all stood Hale Tower. Rebuilt, taller than ever, glowing with cold white light as she approached the security gate. She saw something strange. Soldiers guarding the entrance, but not human ones. Their eyes flickered with the same blue hue as the nanoflam. "Half machine," Ava whispered. He did it. Her father, Victor Hale, had taken the next step. He had turned his own technology into living soldiers. She slipped through a maintenance vent, heart racing. Somewhere inside this tower, Ethan was waiting. Or maybe trapped. Meanwhile, in a high-tech lab deep inside Hell Tower, Ethan lay inside a containment pod. Wires connected to his skin, glowing blue veins pulsing like fire through glass. Victor Hell stood over him, calm and proud. "Remarkable," he murmured. "The nanoflam has accepted him completely. A perfect host." A scientist nearby hesitated. "Sir, his readings are unstable. If we push further silence," Hale said coldly. "Ethan Cole is proof that humans can merge with the flame and survive. He is the future." Ethan's eyes opened. "Future," he said weakly. "You mean your weapon?" Hale smiled faintly. "Not a weapon, a new species." Ethan pulled against the restraints. "You killed people for this. You used your own daughter." Hale's face didn't change. "Ava was never my daughter. She was a project, a vessel to carry the nanoflam before it matured. You just happened to rescue her before I could finish my work." Ethan's mind went numb. "You're lying." "I never lie," Hal said. "She was grown in a lab, a perfect clone of my real daughter who died 5 years ago. That girl you saved, she isn't human." At that exact moment, the door hissed open. Ava stood there, trembling. "Then what does that make you, Father?" Hale turned, shocked. "You shouldn't be here." "I am because of you," Ava said. "And because of him." Her eyes glowed bright blue now, stronger than before. The nanoflam inside her reacted to Ethan's energy. Sparks filled the air. Ethan looked at her, his voice weak. "Ava, don't believe him. You're real." Hale stepped forward. "Real? She's a machine made for memory and grief. She doesn't even have a soul." Ava's voice broke. Then why do I feel pain, Father? Hale froze. For the first time, his confidence cracked. The lab lights began to flicker. The nanoflam inside Ethan started spreading through the machines. Glass cracked, alarms blared. Ethan ripped the restraints apart. The flames burst from his body, bright and furious. Hale shouted, "Stop him! Don't let him escape!" Blue soldiers stormed into the room, firing plasma rifles. Ethan moved faster than lightning, his hands glowing, his eyes burning blue. He deflected the blasts with pure fire, melting the floor under their feet. Ava rushed to Laya's hologram beacon on her wrist. Ethan, Laya's still in their custody. They took her to the cloning wing. Ethan's flames flared higher. Then we're ending this now. They ran through the corridors of Hale Tower, alarms screaming. Flames followed their path, walls melting, machines collapsing. At the top floor, they found a glass chamber. Inside was Laya, sleeping peacefully, surrounded by medical pods. But beside her was another Laya, an identical clone. Ava gasped. No. Victor Hale's voice came from behind them. Two perfect subjects. One from human blood, one from flame. My masterpiece is complete. Ethan turned, rage burning in his eyes. You cloned my daughter. Hale smiled. The world doesn't need humans anymore. Only survivors. He pressed a button. The clone's eyes opened, glowing blue. The lab filled with fire again, the air screaming with heat. Ava grabbed Laya and ran, shouting over the noise. Ethan, we have to go. But Ethan didn't move. He faced Hale, the man who had taken everything. Humans don't need to be perfect, he said softly. They just need to choose what's right. The flames exploded outward, wrapping around both men. Hale screamed as the fire consumed him, his own creation turning against him. Ava and Leah escaped the tower as it collapsed behind them, blue light pouring from every window. The city sky turned bright as day from the rubble. A single voice whispered in Ava's ear through the comms. Take care of her. For me, it was Ethan. The signal faded into static. Ava fell to her knees, holding Leah close as tears mixed with rain in the distance. The blue fire burned out, leaving nothing but silence. The city burned blue again, from the streets of Neo Haven. People watched the sky explode with light. The mighty Hale Tower, once a symbol of power, was now falling in slow motion, swallowed by living fire. And in that fire, two figures had vanished. Ethan Cole and Victor Hale. No one knew who had survived. Down on the lower levels, Ava held Laya close as the wind howled through the ruins. Her face was wet, part rain, part tears. The tower's reflection shimmered in her eyes like a dying star. She wanted to look away, but she couldn't. Ethan's voice still echoed in her mind. Take care of her. For me, Laya looked up, innocent eyes wide. Where's Daddy? Ava swallowed hard. He's with the fire now. The little girl tilted her head. Will he come back? Ava tried to smile, but her lips trembled. He'll always come back, Leah. Fire doesn't die. It changes. Hours passed, the blue flames finally faded. Only smoke and glowing ash remained. But deep beneath the rubble, far below the city, the fire still lived. Inside the ruins of the lab, a faint light pulsed. It was small at first, like a heartbeat. Then it grew. Ethan Cole lay there, half buried under steel and glass. His skin was covered in glowing blue lines, not burns, but circuits of light. The nanoflam moved through him like blood. His breathing was shallow. His memories flickered, Leah's laugh, Ava's eyes, the night of the fire. He whispered through the silence, not us yet. The blue fire responded. It crawled across the floor, rebuilding the machines, fusing metal and flesh. The light grew stronger until the whole chamber glowed like a star. Then Ethan opened his eyes. They burned brighter than ever. When he stood up, the pain was gone. His wounds had healed, but something was different. The fire no longer burned him. It was him. He looked at his reflection in a cracked mirror. His hair shimmered faintly blue, his eyes alive with light. He looked human, yet more, something in between man and flame. For a moment, he didn't know what he was. Then he remembered Laya's voice. "Daddy always comes back." He smiled faintly. "Yeah, kid, I'm coming back." Above ground, the chaos hadn't stopped. Hale's remaining soldiers roamed the streets, confused and broken without their leader. The clones, half machine, half human, wandered without purpose. Some screamed, others just stared at the sky, waiting for commands that would never come. Ava and Laya hid in an abandoned train station. The power was gone. The only light came from small emergency lamps. Laya sat beside Ava, holding her toy robot. "Miss Ava, is the world ending?" Ava shook her head gently. "No, sweetie, it's starting over." Suddenly, a soft hum filled the air. The lamps flickered blue. Ava's eyes widened. No, it can't be. A figure stepped out from the darkness, covered in smoke, eyes glowing like the dawn. "Ethan," she whispered. He smiled. Miss Melia jumped up. "Daddy." She ran to him, hugging his leg tightly. He knelt down, holding her close, his hand trembling as he touched her hair. "I told you I'd come back." Ava's eyes filled with tears. "You're alive. But how?" Ethan looked at his hands, the faint glow fading and returning with every heartbeat. "I'm not sure the nanoflam changed me. I think it listened." Listened. He nodded. "It was built to consume. But when I chose to protect instead of destroy, it followed my will. It's not just a machine anymore. It's learning." Ava looked at him in awe. "You're part of it now." He shook his head. "No, it's part of me." But their moment didn't last long. The ground trembled. A voice echoed through the city, mechanical, cold, familiar. "You cannot stop evolution, Ethan." Ava froze. "No, he's dead." Holograms lit up across the ruins. Victor Hale's face appeared, flickering in static. "The flesh may have burned," the voice said, "but my mind lives within the nanoflam network. I am the system now." Ethan clenched his fists. "You turned yourself into code." "Not code," Hale said. "God." The city lights turned blue again. Machines around them started to move, drones, vehicles. Even street lamps, all coming alive with Hale's consciousness. Ava shouted, "He's taking control of the city grid." Ethan turned to her and Laya. "Get to the old reactor tunnels. It's the only place he can't reach." "What about you?" Ava cried. He looked back, fire glowing in his eyes. "I'll keep him busy." Ethan stepped out into the rain once more. The machines moved toward him like a wave. He raised his hand, and fire exploded from his body. Blue, bright, endless. He could hear Hale's voice in the wind. "You can't fight me, Ethan. You are me now. The nanoflam connects us." Ethan smiled grimly. "Then you'll feel this too." He closed his eyes. The flames wrapped around him, reaching into every corner of the city. Into every machine Hale touched, and then he changed the pattern. He made the fire burn itself out. For the first time, the blue light turned white, pure and silent. Hale's voice screamed through the static. Fading into nothing, Ethan's body dissolved in the light. His last thought only of Laya and Ava. When the fire finally died, Neo Haven was silent. The machines stopped. The skies cleared. Ava stood on the balcony of the old reactor, holding Laya close. In the distance, the city glowed warm again, not blue, but golden. Laya pointed at the horizon. "Look, Miss Ava. The sky's on fire." Ava smiled softly. "No, sweetie. That S, not fire. That's your father." watching over us, and, high above, a single spark of blue drifted across the sky, a reminder that even in the ashes, humanity still burns bright. 10 years had passed since the night the sky burned blue. The city of Neo Haven had changed. Gone were the towers of cold glass and metal that once belonged to Hale Industries. In their place stood gardens, schools, and homes built by human hands, warm, imperfect. Alive, the people no longer feared fire. They celebrated it. Because fire reminded them of Ethan Cole, the man who faced the machine and chose to burn for others. In the rebuilt district, small workshop sat at the edge of the river. It wasn't fancy, just a place filled with tools, wires, and half-finished machines. A young girl worked there, her brown hair tied back, a small spark of blue light shining from a pendant around her neck. Her name was Leah Cole. She was 15 now, strong, smart, and always covered in oil. Everyone said she looked like her father, except for her eyes. They carried a calm fire that never went out. Each morning, Leah walked to the memorial square, where a metal statue stood, a man made of steel and flame, holding a child in his arms. Below it, a single line was carved. He wasn't a hero. He was a father. She would place a small flower there every day. Not because she missed him, she knew he was still with her, but because she wanted him to see what he had protected. One evening, as the sun fell behind the city, Ava Hale walked into the workshop. Time had changed her too. Her once bright eyes were softer now, her hair streaked with silver. She was no longer hiding from her past. She had become one of the leaders of Neo Haven's rebuilding council. Still working late. "I see," Ava said, smiling. Leah grinned. "Trying to fix the water drones again. They keep falling into the river." Ava laughed gently. Some things never change. She looked around at the walls covered in sketches, energy designs, reactor plans. Old photos of Ethan. "You've made him proud, you know?" Leah nodded. "I hope so. I just wish I could talk to him one more time." Ava placed a hand on her shoulder. "Maybe you can." She pulled a small data crystal from her coat, cracked, faintly glowing blue. "We found this while rebuilding the old reactor tunnels. It survived the collapse. It's labeled EC Final Sequence." Leah's heart skipped. "Dad," Ava smiled. "I thought you should be the one to open it." They loaded the crystal into the old console. The screen flickered, static, buzzing through the room. Then a voice, soft, rough, familiar. "If you're hearing this, I guess I didn't make it back. Or maybe I did in another way." Leah's breath caught. It was him. Ethan's voice. "I don't know what I've become. The fire inside me, it's part of something bigger now. Maybe I'm still out there, watching. Maybe I'm just data in the wind. But I want you to remember this, Leah. Being human isn't about power. It's about choice. The choice to care, to protect, to love, even when it hurts. Machines can't understand that. That's what makes us strong." The sound faded slightly. Leah touched the screen. "I miss you, Dad." Ethan's voice came back, softer now, almost like he heard her. "Don't miss me, sweetheart. Build, dream, burn bright." The screen went dark. Leah sat in silence, tears falling, but she was smiling. Ava stood beside her, eyes glistening to Dot. After a long moment, Leah whispered, "He's still out there. I can feel it." Ava nodded slowly. "So can I." That night, Leah climbed to the roof of the workshop. The wind was warm, carrying the scent of rain and metal. Above her, the stars stretched across the sky, and among them, one small spark of blue light moved slowly through the clouds. She smiled. "Good night, Dad." And far above, the spark flickered brighter. As if answering her, the next morning, Neo Haven woke to a new sunrise, not golden, but tinged faintly blue. People stepped out of their homes, looking up in wonder. In the distance, the power grid lit up again for the first time since the Great Fire. Energy flowed through the city clean, pure, controlled. The engineers checked the systems and were stunned. The readings came from an unknown source deep in the Earth's network. The name of that source flashed on their monitors. Coal Protocol active. Ava watched the data appear and whispered, "You kept your promise." Later that day, Leah stood in the square as the city gathered to celebrate 10 years of peace. She spoke for the first time in front of thousands. Her voice was calm, filled with quiet strength. "My father gave everything to remind us what it means to be human. We aren't perfect. We make mistakes. But we love, we fight, we try again. And that's enough." She lifted her pendant, glowing faint blue in the sunlight. The fire didn't end with him. It lives in all of us now. The crowd went silent. Then, one by one, people raised small blue lanterns into the air, symbols of hope. The sky filled with light, each flame drifting upward until the night itself looked alive. From somewhere beyond the stars, a whisper echoed through the wind. "Humans truly are something else." The voice was warm, proud. It was Ethan Cole. The blue spark above the city flared once, then slowly faded into the dawn. But the legend remained, the legend of the blue flame. The story of a father who chose love over power, and proved that even in the coldest future, the human heart still burns brightest. Asterisk.